We've all met someone who just seems to think differently. Not louder, not faster, just differently. They notice things others miss. They ask questions nobody thought to ask. And somehow they're comfortable sitting with uncertainty while everyone else needs an answer right now. Here's what's interesting. By the end of this video, you'll probably recognize at least 3 of these habits in yourself. And when you do, it might reframe some things you thought were flaws. High IQ isn't really about test scores or academic achievement. Psychologists increasingly describe intelligence as a style of processing, a particular way the brain engages with information, people, and uncertainty. And that style tends to leak into everyday behavior in ways that are easy to miss if you don't know what you're looking at. So here are 7 everyday habits that quietly show up in people with extremely high IQ, and what's actually happening in the brain behind each one. Habit 1. They get bored easily, and that's not a flaw. Highly intelligent people tend to have a low threshold for mental understimulation. When a task doesn't challenge the brain enough, it starts looking elsewhere, drifting, daydreaming, or mentally restructuring the problem into something more interesting. What looks like restlessness from the outside is often a high IQ brain that has already processed what's in front of it and is hungry for the next layer. Research in cognitive psychology links this pattern to a need for cognitive complexity, the brain's preference for problems that actually require effort to solve. Habit 2. They second-guess decisions they've already made. An analytical mind doesn't stop working just because a choice has been made. It keeps running the variables, imagining alternative outcomes, stress-testing the decision after the fact. This can look like anxiety or self-doubt from the outside, but internally it's something different. A brain that treats every outcome as data and every decision as a model that can still be improved. The discomfort isn't insecurity, it's intellectual honesty. Habit 3. They struggle to explain their own thinking. This one surprises people, but highly intelligent individuals often arrive at conclusions through rapid, intuitive leaps that bypass the neat step-by-step logic we expect intelligence to look like. When asked to explain how they got there, they sometimes can't, not because they don't understand it, but because the processing happened below conscious awareness. Psychologists call this implicit cognition. The insight arrives fully formed. The explanation comes later, sometimes never. Habit 4. They find small talk genuinely difficult, not socially but intellectually. It's not that high IQ individuals are bad at conversation, it's that their brains are naturally drawn toward depth, and surface-level exchanges can feel like running an engine at the wrong gear. Studies on conversational preferences suggest that highly intelligent people find meaning-dense conversations significantly more satisfying than social ritual. It's less about shyness and more about cognitive appetite. Habit 5. They have an unusually high tolerance for ambiguity. Most people find uncertainty uncomfortable enough that they'll accept a weak answer just to close the loop. Extremely intelligent individuals tend to resist this. They're able to hold a question open, sometimes for a very long time, without forcing a premature conclusion. In psychology, this is called ambiguity tolerance, and it's closely tied to creative and analytical ability. The brain that can sit comfortably with "I don't know yet" is often the brain that eventually finds the most accurate answer. Habit 6. They connect things that have no obvious connection. Ask a high IQ person about one topic and they'll often pull in something from a completely unrelated field, a biological principle that explains a social pattern, a historical event that mirrors a current one. This cross-domain thinking isn't showing off, it's how their pattern recognition naturally works. The brain is constantly filing and cross-referencing, and the connections surface almost automatically. Researchers link this to fluid intelligence, the ability to reason across novel contexts rather than just retrieve stored knowledge. And habit 7. They're deeply uncomfortable with their own potential. This one rarely gets talked about, but there's a consistent pattern in psychological research around highly intelligent individuals experiencing a specific kind of internal pressure, an awareness of what they're capable of that can feel more like a weight than a gift. Not imposter syndrome exactly, more like a constant, quiet reckoning with whether they're actually doing enough with what they have. It doesn't always look like ambition from the outside. Sometimes it just looks like someone who can never fully switch off. Here's what ties all of this together. High intelligence isn't a single thing. It's a collection of tendencies, some that look like strengths, some that look like flaws, and most that look like both, depending on the context. The restlessness, the second guessing, the inability to just leave a question alone. These aren't bugs in the system. They're often what the system runs on. Which of these 7 hit closest to home for you? Drop the number in the comments. I read every single one. And maybe the most honest thing psychology tells us about extremely intelligent people is this: it rarely makes life easier, it just makes it harder to look away.